Alright, this is going to be the tutorial on how to set up your paint palette and how to get started with doing the digital painting part of your geometric shapes. Alright, so at this point now you should have your outline done with the drawing part. Okay, so what you're going to do next is you're going to create a new layer. So I'm going to make a new layer, make it on the very top layer, title this palette, so P-A-L-E-T-T-E, palette. Alright, so basically we're going to create a paint palette. The way that I'm going to teach you to do the digital painting is going to be very similar to traditional painting. So if any of you had any experience with using paints, it's going to follow almost the same steps and processes. So if you're wondering what a paint palette looks like, this is what a paint palette is. Basically you're going to put your paints on the palette. You're going to use it to mix, but just for now though, we're just going to use it to lay out your colors. So we're going to create a paint palette on the bottom. So you want to go to Window, click on the Photoshop, Windows, and Swatches. Alright, so alright, if you look at our picture, alright, we're going to be working in black and white, okay, and it's going to be real important to look for your values in the photograph. Alright, but basically we're going to be working with areas where it's bright, and then areas where there's shadow, and there's areas where it's real dark. So you're going to work with white, different shades of gray. You got middle gray, light gray, dark gray, and you got a black. Alright, so I think it's best to work with 5 values for this drawing, but obviously there's more than 5 values in the picture, but 5 is a good number to start with. So we're going to I'm just going to click on the black, and we're going to just do a black circle. Alright, and then we're going to click on the gray, and we're going to do a dark gray. Okay, so you can do a dark gray next to it, and then we're going to do a middle gray. Alright, and then we're going to do a light gray, and then at the very end you're going to have a white. Oops. Don't look like that. Just make sure to make a white mark, even though it's white on white, because eventually we're going to have to make this a light gray. Alright, so now that we laid our grays out, alright, now we're going to have to create 3 different layers for each shape. So you're going to make one layer for your cube, one for your sphere, and one for your cylinder. So cube, sphere, cylinder. Okay, so I'm just going to rename layer 1 cube, sphere, and cylinder. Alright, compared to the shading that we did, because basically we're almost doing the same thing like with the cubes in the Illustrator. There's going to be a lot less layers than what we worked with before. You don't have to create a different layer for each shadow. You can just do it all on one layer. So the cube, we're going to start off with that. And alright, you're going to look at the cube and the values. Okay, you got a bright white here, you got a middle gray here, you got a light gray at the top, you got a dark gray here. So you got to determine what value is what in your picture. Alright, we're going to start off with the cube because the cube's pretty easy. Okay, now in order to pick the colors down here, we're going to hold the Option key, and if you hold the Option key, it's going to change the tool into, this is called the eyedrop tool. It's also located over here. That's the eyedrop tool, and this is going to allow you to pick colors that you want to use. So I'm going to pick this middle gray, and if you notice, it's going to change my color there, and I'm just going to color this area the middle gray. Alright, now real important when you're doing your coloring, make sure it's on the correct layer. So you're on the cubes layer, and you're coloring you're painting the cube. Okay, if you confuse the layers, then it's it's going to be a big mess. So you really want to be organized with the layers that you use. So you got um, middle gray there. Alright, and now I'm trying to hit the option key and it's not changing. If it's not changing, you might need to click on the toolbar again. Click it a couple times, then it should fix itself. For some reason these tablets, they have an issue with the option or alt key. I don't know why, but I don't have that problem with the tablet I use at home. But for some reason these tablets, they have that problem. So just make sure to be patient with it. I know it might be a little bit frustrating at times. So, see, I had to keep doing it every time. So I'm clicking this brush again. And I'm going to use the dark gray to do the shadow over here. Alright. So, I mean, that's pretty simple. Alright, and then now I did tell you originally that you can color the background and the bottom table on the cubes layer. It might be better if you do it on a separate layer, but it doesn't really matter. We're gonna tell this layer the background. But again, it makes it easier if you try to do everything in a separate layer. We're gonna put this on the very bottom layer because it's behind the cube. Alright, so we're gonna do this same gray here for the table. So we're going to do the light gray. And if you notice, your light gray is going to disappear on the palette. That's not a big deal because that whole thing is going to be that light gray. So one thing you'll notice though is since you're working in layers, if I'm coloring over this gray here, it's actually going to disappear behind the cube. The reason why is because the cube's on the very top layer. Since this is on the top layer, it's going to be on top of the gray that I'm making. But if you look right here, if I color over here, it's not going to go behind that white. The reason why it's not going behind that white is because I didn't color that area white. So it's going to appear like as if it's a clear area. So that's just something to keep in mind of when you're getting color. But even this gray, dark gray here, it's going to go behind it. And I'm just going to just go around the edges. Alright. Just take your time. It's it's kindergarten stuff right now. You're just coloring between the lines. Should be pretty easy. Alright, so just coloring this part here, this color, and alright, and then the top here we got a gradation of black, dark gray, and then the middle gray. I'm just gonna make it all dark gray for now. We're just gonna lay a base color, so I'm gonna click the brush again so I can get the eyedropper to work, and we're gonna color this whole top part the dark gray. Alright, so we're just basically laying the colors out. The picture. Take your time. When you're doing the coloring. One thing I've noticed is a lot of you kind of prefer to use the mouse over the tablet. Alright, now I know it's a little bit frustrating to use the tablet, especially if you've never used one before, but the more comfortable you get with the tablet and the better you are at using it, no matter what, it's always going to be better than using the mouse. So even if you aren't doing like a real good job with the coloring and you feel like you're still doing a better job with the mouse, try not to use the mouse. It's a lot harder. So I'm just coloring the rest of this gray here, and again, this is a lot of practice though. I'm not gonna be too super nitpicky on the quality of how you guys do on this. Alright, so yeah. So this is just laying the colors and the creating your palette. The next tutorial is going to be on how to blend the color so you have the gradation.